Hey guys, it's Windham, back for Video Wednesdays, and I'm back with my space buns. So I'm gonna talk about some things today. I'm gonna give you an update on our new, still unnamed baby, and kind of the bonding process there. I'm also going to talk, so I'm a member of a sugar glider Discord. Now, if you want to be on my Discord and you have a sugar glider, you can feel free to join. So I've got a channel that you can ask questions. We can kind of talk through stuff. You can, tell me about your victories and just the things that you're frustrated about with a lot of the sugar glider community on Facebook. Unfortunately, are a lot of Karens. There are a lot of people that are kind of mean, very opinionated. So I want it to be a safe place to ask questions. I'm also a member of a sugar glider Discord. Private message me if you want to join that. But anyway, so I'm going to kind of talk about our journey today. So if you didn't meet our little dude and you just heard him a second ago, he might crowd again. I don't know. This is our new little buddy. He's probably not gonna like the light there, but that's okay. He might potty on me. Anyway, so that's our new little buddy. And he's so sweet. He's a little platinum. He's neutered. And we just got him yesterday. So this is kind of my first full day with him so far. Little cutie, oh my gosh. Anyway, so someone in a Discord that I'm a member of, they said, what are the negatives of having gliders? And so I want to be super real. I want to be super transparent. I want to be very honest. And because the thing is they are so fun. I love having them in my life. I love having that be just like an interesting fact about me. I love taking care of them and growing with them and learning about them and getting a relationship with them. And I think he needs a snack. Give you a little snack. No, he doesn't want that. He wants the sunflower seed. You want sunflower? No? Maybe a little bit of papaya. He likes papaya. So I'll just sit and I'll eat papaya. Anyway, I just really want to be super transparent and super open about this, just because they're not the pet for everyone. Just like I would say a cat might not be for everyone, a dog might not be for everyone, a bird might not be for everyone. These guys might not be for everyone either. And that's okay. You don't have to. You can enjoy them and admire them and it not be the pet for you. I would say, first of all, if you live in a state where they're illegal, they're not the pet for you. Too many events happen where someone was simply driving through the state and their animal was confiscated because they were illegal. They were confiscated. I think they have the ability to euthanize. Don't take me up on that. I don't know if it's fact. Just things I've read, things I've seen. So if they're in a state or you're in a place where they're not legal, or you don't have a permit for them in a place where you need a permit for them, they're probably not the pet for you. Or if you really want them, move. So some other things are, the thing that I don't think people get is they have such very different personalities. They're all different. And also, if you haven't bonded with them or had them since the time they were this age that I have right now, they may never get to a place where they fully trust you. And you're just gonna have to be okay with that. If you spent $50 to get a pair of rescued gliders and you're wondering why they're not sitting in your hands like this, you just have to be realistic about the fact that you have to spend time bonding with them. You have to spend time getting them to trust you. You have to spend time getting them used to your hands. And, it's not going to happen overnight. And that's just the reality. That's the reality of having gliders. They're not all necessarily going to go straight into your shirt. They're not all necessarily going to fall asleep down your shirt. And that's just something that you're going to have to realize, is that they have a past. They can have a past just like a dog. Any dog that you pick up from the shelter, guess what? A dog from the shelter is going to have a past. Maybe a dog from the shelter was abused. Maybe they weren't fed right. Maybe the dog came from an inbreeding situation. Maybe they weren't socialized. Maybe they don't like men. Maybe they don't like children. Maybe they tend to bite in certain situations. Maybe they don't like other dogs. All gliders have a personality and a temperament, and they all have a history, and you have to respect that. First of all, I'd say first of all, no matter what you're doing, if you respect the fact that they all have a past and a different background, that at least puts you at a place of empathy to where you can kind of go, okay, maybe I can view this animal now and figure out the best way to be able to handle them. It's just kind of where it is. I'm going to say also, they might not be the pet for you if you are not able to spend a lot of time with them. I am blessed to be able to work from home. I work from home a lot. But whenever I first had gliders, if you go way back on my Instagram, you can see that I used to have two. I had two neutered males. And first of all, I'd say I didn't really know how to take care of them correctly because I had rescued gliders and I wasn't dealing with a breeder. I just kind of got them from someone who, you know, they needed a place to go and I thought that they were cool. I learned so much through having those two, but unfortunately at the time, I was dealing with my grandpa passing. I was living with my grandma. I also was traveling a lot. I had a lot of different gigs I was booking. I was doing a lot of acting things as well as photography. I was visiting my family a lot. I was visiting friends a lot, and I really didn't realize how much time they needed. So at the time, I ended up rehoming them with a family, with a very responsible 10-year-old little girl, and they were, you know, I didn't sell them. I didn't have a rehoming fee. I talked over with them. I taught them everything they needed to know, and I rehomed those two gliders just because I couldn't give them the home that they needed. You know, fast forward 4 or 5 years later, and I'm at a place where I have a stable income. I didn't have a stable income back then, so it was hard on days when I needed to take them to the vet or get them looked at or buy medicine, you know? Now I have a stable income, I have a stable job, and the job that I have lets me work from home. So guess what that means I get to do all day? I get to stick gliders in my shirt. I get to check on them. I get to make sure that they have the time that they need, that they have the things that they need. And it's just a lot of a better fit for Octo and I's lifestyle now than it was. So do you have the right lifestyle for a glider? Do you have the time? If you are a professional streamer, if you're a professional YouTuber, they're a great pet for this. You know, are they necessarily the best? That's up to you. I'd say a downside, other than needing the right lifestyle, they're a pet that just take a lot of time. They do. Guess what? All day today, I've been messing with this little baby. I've been playing with him. And unfortunately, that means that my other gliders, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time with them too later today. I'm going to have to, you know, talk to them, handle them, especially if you have babies that you want to, you know, if you want to breed them. And I don't recommend that for everyone. I don't think that you should breed if you're a first-time owner ever. But if you're into breeding, you know, you have to have time to socialize the babies because otherwise you're just contributing to a problem of people wanting this fun, friendly, sweet little pet and then getting something that hasn't been socialized correctly. If you don't have time to socialize the baby and handle the babies every single day, don't breed, and maybe you shouldn't have a glider in the first place. But, you know, they take a lot of time. They can actually regress as far as their friendliness if you don't keep up with bonding with them. If you keep up with bonding with them, they're just going to get closer and closer and closer to you and trust you. But if you don't, they can regress. And it's a lot harder to restart the bonding process as an adult than it is to have a Joey like I have now and just kind of start from day one building that relationship. So they can regress in bonding. I'd say another downside to them is they smell, you know? They don't smell as much if you get their diet right, but they do. They smell, especially if you have an unneutered male. If you have an unneutered male, you're gonna have kind of a ferrety smell. If you have an unneutered male, he marks. So my unneutered males, whenever I handle them, they pee on me multiple times in one handling. So I would not necessarily wear this to handle my unneutered males with. I'd probably wear an old sweatshirt or an old t-shirt because I'm gonna get pee on me. You're gonna get poop on you. I've stepped in poop and smeared it all over my carpet and all over my feet because when they poop, it just drops. There are people that potty train their gliders. Not everybody can. Not everybody knows how to. Not everybody believes in that. So I personally don't potty train my gliders. I just kind of go, you know, I know that as soon as they wake up, they're gonna want to potty. That's what this dude has done. It's just kind of the way that it is. I would say also, as far as their smell goes, their cages are gonna smell. They're gonna mark their pouches. They're gonna mark their toys. Also, they eat fruit and they eat protein, which, guess what? Their little niblets in their food is gonna fall into the bottom of the cage, and it's gonna smell bad after a few days. You probably want to vacuum around your cage and maybe the collecting tray, maybe vacuum once a week. Vacuum around it every other day, wipe it down. It's gonna smell like old fruit. And if I go out of town and I come back and someone else has been feeding them, you know, and they don't know to clean up the cage, the room smells like old, nasty fruit. So be aware of the fact that things like pellets in their diet, they make their pee odor very strong. If you have too much protein in their diet, pee odor very strong. If you have a lot of fruits, or if you feed them a lot of broccoli, broccoli smells so bad sitting in a cage. You have to make sure to take out all the broccoli particles if you don't want your cage to smell. So it's an animal that just smells. It's an animal that jumps. It's an animal that could attract the attention of a dog, could attract the attention of a cat. So if you have other animals that you think would attack gliders, maybe don't get them. We're lucky in the fact that we have different rooms in our house where we can shut the cat out and the cat does not go inside those rooms. Point blank. That's just what we do. They can drown very easily, so you have to make sure that you have the right supplies. They also can get tangled up in wheels. They can get tangled up in their toys. They have long tails that can be affected by things. Their moods can also be affected by things. They're very temperamental. So the thing is if you're traveling a lot, they can get, if you don't train them on how to handle that, they can get depressed, they can self-mutilate, they're prone to respiratory distress and respiratory illnesses, so they get colds. They're colony animals, so they're not going to show you that they're sick until it's too late. If they're showing you that they're sick and you haven't realized it already, you need to rush them to the vet. There aren't exotic vets that really handle these guys very much. A lot of vets say that they're exotic, but if they don't have experience with sugar gliders, they may give you the wrong information, which has happened to a ton of friends of mine. So you need to consider the fact that finding the right vet that's a fit for your pet, it might be more difficult. It might be more expensive. They get infections. I've had a glider that had a baby and she developed mastitis on her nipple, and so I had to take her to the vet, have her looked over. I had to pay $100 for, you know, even though the actual medicine was not that expensive for the infection, I still had to be prescribed the medicine, and I had to give her medicine every day. You know, it's no different than any other type of pet or any other type of responsibility there. You have to have the right pet, you have to have the right diet, you have to make sure that you're okay with the amount of hygiene that they need. They need playtime, they need different types of toys. So I would say that you can't just stick one toy in there and leave it. I'm always looking for new toys on Etsy that I can buy and replace in their cage. I'm always swapping toys, moving things around, swapping pouches, moving around my type of cage. They are animals that thrive on, they're smart. They're animals that thrive on having interactive toys. So it's like a cat. You wouldn't give a cat the exact same toy for all 15 years that it was alive. Don't do that with your glider either. You know, mix up your toys, mix up the cage, you know, mix up their snacks, give them new snacks, give them things. They're very messy. They're very messy animals. If you don't have a glider kitchen is basically an upside down piece of Tupperware with a hole cut out of it that has been sanded down to avoid rugged edges. If you don't have glider kitchens and you don't have multiple, they spread their food around. And even with a glider cage, sometimes they pop the lid off and they spread their food everywhere. So food gets spread everywhere. They throw their poop, you know, not on purpose, but their poop sometimes gets on my walls and I don't know how. Food particles get on my walls and I don't know how. You have to keep a cage cover over your cage. They're also nocturnal, so it means that they sleep during the day and they're up at night. So if you only have space for a glider in your bedroom, you have to consider maybe getting earplugs. You have to consider what if it's going to affect your other family members while they sleep. You have to consider the fact that they're loud at night. They bark, they hiss, they make chuffing noises at each other, and the barking is loud. So even if you get permission to have them in your apartment, your neighbors might not like the fact that they bark. So you might have to get a baby monitor to make sure that you can go and help them if they're barking for you at night. I'm trying to think what else. Let's see. Just because you have two that you get from other places that aren't brother and sister, it doesn't mean that they're going to automatically get along. If you get a bonded pair, they'll probably be fine if they're already bonded to each other. But the thing is introductions don't always go well. So you have to think about that, because then you're going to end up with two gliders that you have to keep in two separate cages and then get each of them a glider. That's bad and not very fun. So keep that in mind. You might have to get a lot of gliders. We have multiple. We have a ton. You have to get a big enough cage. They can't sit in a little hamster cage. They need room to jump, you know? I think the thing is too is they bite. You know, this guy, he hasn't bitten me in 2 days, but guess what? Over at my breeder's house, I was holding one and one bit me. Even though it was a perfectly sweet little baby, it was just tired. They go through a phase when they're teenagers where they just kind of bite everything and they're just testing everything to see if they want to bite it. So keep that in mind. They're expensive. You know, if you find someone that is rehoming a glider for like $50 on Craigslist, it might not be the best glider. If you're gonna get a glider that has had top-notch vet care, top-notch handling by people that love it, if you wanna get a glider that has been socialized from day one out of pouch, and the parents are sweet and the parents are healthy, they're given a proper diet, you know, they're bonded to each other, you might not find it for $50. And if you find it for $50, it might not be the friendliest. You usually have to buy more than one glider, which a glider itself that's quality is going to be anywhere from $100 to $350 just for a standard, you know? You're going to get one glider. Sometimes they have deals on getting two. You also have to buy a cage. The cage is going to start on $100, you know? You also have to buy food, you have to buy fresh food, you have to buy their staple, you have to buy all their toys, all their pouches. Now I will say that if you buy everything and you get everything that you need for them to come home and you get a good startup, then they're not as expensive after you buy the gliders themselves, because they don't need like monthly rabies shots. I don't know why I said monthly, yearly rabies shots. They don't get shots for rabies or things like that. Like they don't get vaccinations. So don't believe anybody that says that they do. They don't get vaccinations. So yeah, the startup cost is very expensive. It's not like a cat where all you need is vet, cat adoption, litter box food. You know, like that's all you really need for a cat, or like a goldfish. It's a lot more expensive to start up. You might also have to buy a license or a permit. So those are just some things to consider. I would say also they're prone to accidents. So I know a lot of people, they bring home a glider, don't realize that it's too young, or they don't realize that they can have accidents, or they don't realize how temperamental they are and how they can become depressed and pass away. I know a lot of people, they don't realize those things, or like how certain paint coatings are toxic, or how certain toys and woods and berries and treats are toxic. So, and they give them to them, and this sweet little animal that they spent $300 on that they're trying to bond with passes away and they don't know why. They can choke on food, they can drown in a teensy bit of water, they can eat their babies, they can kill each other if you haven't introduced them properly. They're just an animal that you need to really think about the investment to put into place. Don't just watch fun sugar glider videos. Basically, it's just that they're not the pet for everyone. And so yeah, I would definitely just do your research, talk to people with gliders, watch videos, and don't just watch the cute ones of them learning how to jump. Don't just watch the cute ones of them sitting in people's hands eating. The thing is that everybody's experiences are different. And, you know, if you're going to pay $50 for somebody's glider off of Craigslist, then you might need to be prepared to bond with gliders that have never had experiences with people before. So I feel like as long as you're prepared to deal with all those things, I feel like as long as you're prepared to have the budget in place, you're prepared to give them the veterinary needs that they need, the attention that they need, you're prepared to give them a buddy, you're prepared to give them a balanced diet, then you might be ready for these pets. And if so, then we would welcome you with open arms to the glider. In the meantime, guys, thanks for tuning in. It's Windham and this little buddy. He's still getting bonded and getting used to me. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and put your questions down below, and hopefully this helped. So, we'll see you next time.